Blooming Club members out there, boys and girls, parents, I'm very happy to be at Central Library today because there was a school program just now where Dianne Wolfer, the Australian author, spoke to many children from a few schools. But it's just that our members, they don't have a chance to meet you. I'm very pleased that you are here to speak to them. So
thank you so much. It's just a pleasure to be here. I have never been to Hong Kong before. It's my first time. And we're on the same time zone in Western Australia, so that made it easy. And as I was saying to the children, I have lived in Asia, in Thailand and in Tokyo during my life. But I don't know why I haven't got to Hong Kong, but it's lovely to be here. And we had wonderful sessions this morning. The children were great. They had some good questions. And we spoke about some of the books that I've written.
Yes, actually, when I look at the programs, and I just thought it's wonderful to have an Australian author. Actually, there are two, and you're one of them. And I just noticed that the books you have written, they are so Australian. And in Hong Kong, we don't have that many books written about Australia.
Well, hopefully we can get some more. There's so many great books. And Mem Fox, who is here with the festival, has written Kuala Lu and Possum Magic, which is a classic Australian, another possum one. And Christopher Cheng is also from Sydney, from Australia, and he has a background with Hong Kong. So yes, I think the children were, or the students, they were children, teenagers, some of them, were so interested in hearing about the kid. Can we hold that one up? The kid whose mum, particularly the kid whose mum kept possums in her bra, which is a funny title for a book. Yes. The other ones have more normal titles, but the idea for this one was, another one just before perhaps I tell is Horse Mad. The idea for this was my daughter had the small school she was at in the country. There are a lot of girls who love to pretend they were horses, and I think when children are young they have such good imaginations and they love to pretend to be things.
Pretend to be somebody else.
Yes, and reading is so important because it gives them ideas that they can act out, and they learn about the world and about getting on with other people and families. They learn that there are all sorts of families and different situations through reading, and I think they can learn that they're not alone through reading. If a character in a story might have a problem, and perhaps they were feeling quite alone, but then they find someone who has the same problem and maybe during the story tries to solve their problem. So reading is so important for young children. And I think having a good imagination, Horse Man is about someone with a good imagination. But this little one, the kid whose mum kept possums in her bra, the idea for that one came when I was visiting my mother on the other side of Australia. I live in Western Australia, in Albany, on the south coast. And my mum lives in Albury. It's confusing, Albany, Albury. And when I was visiting her, we were walking down the main street and her friend came along and my mother called out in a very loud voice, "What have you got down your bra today?" And
what a question.
I know, I was so embarrassed. You're never too old to be embarrassed about your mother. And as it turns out, the friend was a wildlife carer and was looking after a little possum. And little possum, this is a kind of a big possum.
So this is a possum.
Yes, there are different kinds of possums. Some have a big furry tail, like this big brush-tail possum.
It's so cute.
Yes, and then some have a long thin tail with white at the end called a ringtail. And there are tiny little pygmy possums as well. We have a lot of unusual animals in Australia, and because the distances are long, they get hit on the roads, which is very sad. But there are people who look after them, and this lady had a tiny possum, even smaller than that, like half size. Normally it would live in its mother's pouch in under here. Thank you. And so because the mother had died, this lady was looking after the possum, and normally she kept it by the fire in a sack, but she wanted to go to her art class, and so she put it down her bra and she took it to her art class in her bra.
Body temperature.
That's right. If they get cold, then it's where my mother lives. It's near the mountains, and it's quite cold. And the she was keeping the little possum in a sack by the fire, but if they get cold, they die very quickly. She was worried that if she went all morning to her art class and then came back, the fire would go out and perhaps the possum would die. So she thought, I'll take it with me. And so she hid it down in her, she had a large breast. Yes. And so she put it down there and went to her class. No one could see it. But when she was doing her artwork, her bra was wriggling. So people were curious and they asked her, and she said, so that's how we heard the story. And since I wrote this book, if I do school visits in Australia to lots of different areas, at the end, quite often teachers or parents will say, oh, I don't keep a possum in my bra, but this is what I keep in my bra. And so many things women keep in their bras. In Australia, people like to walk on the beach, but if you don't have a bag, and so maybe the car keys, or if they're going out, they don't want to carry a handbag, maybe they'll put just $10 or something in, or tissues. My grandmother, when we were little, if anyone sniffed, she hated it, so she would always have a hanky down her bra, and she would get it out and she'd quickly go, and she'd wipe her nose. So
that's really convenient.
Yeah, so lots of things in bras. So
it seems to me that you get your ideas for writing from what you see in your daily life.
Yes, often the stories, the characters are not me, but often I see things and it sparks an idea. So, for example, Horse Mad just began when my daughter at dinner was saying, those horse girls in her class, because she was good friends with the girls, but every time they had to do a project, they always wanted to do it on horses. And she likes horses, but she didn't really want to only do horses. So that at the dinner table when she said, oh, the horse girls, that sparked the idea for what if there was a girl who was in a horse group and suddenly she woke up on her birthday and didn't feel like she thinks she's a horse. But she didn't feel like she was a horse anymore. So at the beginning starts when she just starts by saying, I've got a problem. For 2 years, I've been a horse. Every morning, I wake up, stretch my legs, roll onto my back and flick my mane. But that isn't my problem.